Big Ten Saturday night is back this fall on NBC and Peacock. The season kicks off Saturday. Fresno State and the defending national champs, number 9 Michigan Wolverines. Here comes Saturday night. Here comes the Hall of Fame coach, Bill Cowher, NFL Today on CBS studio analyst. We were talking about philosophy on starting a rookie quarterback. You had Ben Roethlisberger, but he didn't start week 1. Is that correct?
That's correct, Dan. It's good to see you again. But no, he did not start week 1. Matter of fact, the whole idea when we drafted him is we had Tommy Maddox, we had Charlie Batch, is to be able to bring him along slowly, which we did in training camp. Give him, we worked on mostly what he worked on was the no huddle because we usually thought we'd put him into the game at the end of a game or at the end of a half and just to give him a chance to kind of go out there and do his thing. So he did not start week 1.
But that difference of just absorbing a game on the sidelines as opposed to, learning on the job, how big of a jump is that for these quarterbacks?
I think it's very big. And I think, a lot of times to me, the approach that you take is with the young guys, when you start the season as a starter, there's not just the element of the unknown because the game is so much faster, so much more complex, so much more involved when the regular season starts as opposed to the preseason. So you got to make sure there's not a false sense of confidence you have going in, and then the expectation you have of not letting down your teammates. So I think ideally you put a situation, how it played out for Ben was great. He didn't have an expectation going in. He was thrusted into the job when Tommy Maddox got hurt. So he really didn't have time to think about it. So it almost alleviated that type of pressure. I'm the second guy. I'm going to come in here and just kind of do my thing. And obviously from that time on, he won his first 15 games because we kind of built things around him. We had a defense, we had a running game. And as he became more comfortable, we allowed him to do a lot more things from a passing standpoint.
Why is Mike Tomlin waiting to name his starter?
That's because there's 2 different styles of quarterback. Why give someone a little extra time to prepare? I think you're preparing for Russell Wilson. There's you can see that he's going to stay in the pocket. He's not looking to run. He's looking to throw down the field. Justin Fields is an element in the running game. He's another guy that he's an option. So I think it's just doing it from a strategical standpoint. And obviously you're going down with Arthur Smith, his first game at Atlanta, where he just came from. And so I think Russell will be the starter, and I think it'll be a package of plays that you'll have for Justin Fields. And you see how that evolves through the course of the season. So I think it's a very natural and a good position for them to be in right now to evaluate both.
Yeah, it takes me back to Cordell Stewart, who was at Mike Tomzak, I think. And,
Yes.
and so you had sort of the older quarterback, and then you had the younger quarterback who was more athletic. Now, granted, Tomzak and Russell Wilson are different talent-wise, but trying to incorporate – can you see Mike trying to incorporate Justin Fields sort of similarly?
Yeah, I think so. He'll keep him involved. And I think, again, taking the pressure of not having to start. Russell's been there. There's a package you're going to want to do. It's a play action will be a big part of what they do. And that plays into what Russell does best. So I think the running game is going to be the forefront. They got to get the offensive line straightened out. But they've got a lot of pieces up there. And certainly when Fontenot got hurt, their number 1 pick this year, Broderick Jones had to go to the right side. They see him on the left side. But now you have Zach Frazier in there. I think was a great pick for them in the second round as a starting center. So there's a lot of good pieces in place, but it takes time for those guys to kind of come together. But I think he's going to keep them both in play because Justin Fields is just too big of a weapon. He gives you the big plays that maybe you're not going to get in the passing game, but in the running game, he gives you another thing that they have to defend.
We're talking to Bill Cowher, the Hall of Fame coach, NFL Today on CBS studio analyst. One of your fellow studio analysts, J.J. Watt, you said showed up, looked like he's in playing shape. I don't know if J.J. appreciated what you said, but can you see a team reaching out to J.J. Watt and tempting him to come out of retirement?
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be the right situation. I think the only place that it would ever be the case probably could be the Houston Texans or even maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers if they came down to it. And it'd have to be whatever his role would be. But I think, I jokingly say that because you look at him right now, he is training. He looks like he's actually at the same weight he was when he played. There's not much body fat on that. So I'm just like, okay, at some point, are you going to come bring down or are you ready to play again? So, but JJ's got a lot of things going on. He's such a talented man. He came off the field, and I'm looking forward to working with him at CBS this fall.
Yeah. He talked about being tempted of coming back and trying to play for Green Bay. But with his brother, I mean, it'd be kind of cool, but I don't. I mean, do the Texans still own his rights though?
I think he can go anywhere he wants right now because he's been out of the game for a couple of years now or 2 years. So
Okay.
I think his contract is done. So he wouldn't have to do that. He could sign anywhere. But I think the Texans is where his heart's at. And obviously with his brother in Pittsburgh, I would think those would be only two places, in my opinion.
When you watch Patrick Mahomes, if you're going to have I guess, a defensive plan, what would you do? Like, what do you take? Like, do you subscribe to what Belichick says? Let me take away your best weapon.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly Travis Kelce is a go-to for him, and I think that's the guy. He's got some other people, certainly that they picked up the rookie receiver, but for me, Patrick Mahomes, you have to keep him in the pocket and just and take your chances there because when he gets out of the pocket, his vision, his ability to improvise, his ability to create is something that you can't defend because the play gets extended longer. And the longer the play gets extended, the more his vision opens up and he's got the accuracy and the ability to make all types of different throws. So to me, making him stay in the pocket, taking away Travis Kelce, I start right there and then live with whatever goes from that.
Yeah, but how do you keep him in the pocket? It sounds good, but
Yeah.
then the game happens, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden he's out of the pocket.
I think Louis Anarumo had a pretty good plan against him, the Cincinnati Bengals, when they played against them in the championship game. And you have to mix things up against someone like Patrick Mahomes. You can't go in there and show him the same thing in the first quarter and the fourth quarter that you showed him in the first quarter. So to me, it's about mixing up the looks. It's about bringing three-man pressures. It's about bringing five-man pressures. But again, making sure that I've got containment on both those edges so that, he's going to try to step up as well. But I would run him more in the pocket, executing the passing game than when he gets outside the pocket.
Would you rather face, who would you rather not face? Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, or Patrick Mahomes?
Well, that's a great choice. Gee, I'd rather not face any of those three. I mean,
But you got to pick one. You got to go, okay.
Well, I mean, I think the one thing that you look at with Patrick is the improvisation. I mean, those are things it's hard to prepare for. Like you just talked about, how would you keep them in a pocket? Easier said than done because they do a great job with that, with all the different things that they do with Andy Reid's offense, just spreading you out. So they try to spread out the coverage and open up some of the lanes because you can't fill every lane when you start having the things spread out. Certainly, Tom Brady is going to pick you apart by reading you. Aaron Rodgers can make all the throws, still has the mobility. So they all have three elements to them, but they're all just special players. And so, but I'd say right now, just because the athleticism that Patrick Mahomes presents, he'd be the one person that would fear me the most.
How do you sum up the Dallas Cowboys situation here with a coach in his last year, quarterback in his last year, star receiver is holding out, Micah Parsons looking for a new deal a little early. So how do you handicap what to expect out of the Cowboys?
There's a sense of urgency for sure. I think everybody's playing for contracts. Some people are playing for jobs. It's a unique situation down there because, like you said, it's probably hard for, you look at Dak. Dak. I mean, why is he going to sign an extension? You don't even know who the coach is going to be next year because the coach is in the last year of his contract. So, there's a little bit of flux down there, turmoil, if you want to use theatrics. But isn't that always kind of the Dallas Cowboys? They kind of thrive in that kind of atmosphere. So it's one of those things that right now, a lot's going to happen over the next couple of weeks. I think CeeDee Lamb will get in there. I think Mike is going to be there week one. And I think what you'll have is a quarterback and a head coach that are kind of playing for both their careers. And in a weird way, it's probably not the worst thing in the world. But, the one thing that happens with situations like that is you get into adversity, do you come together or do you splinter apart? And that's the thing that happens. If he comes out early, if the season starts out, a little questionable early in the season, how do they handle adversity?
Did you ever get involved in a salary dispute?
You know what? When the players had it, all I tried to do is I never negotiated on behalf of anybody. I always, if I did anything, I understood where the player was at and, understood what they were looking for. And at times, You know that this is where we are with how we approach things philosophically, and sometimes it's just not going to mesh with what you want. And I always try to say, like, put a price of enjoying where you go to work. Put a monetary value on that. And if that doesn't meet if you can't meet that, bridge it together with that, then play it out. And I wish you nothing but the best. So, I mean, I think, again, as a coach, you want to try to seize every year because every year is different. And sometimes if it's the last year of a contract for a player, I want to make sure that I'm doing that. I'm not looking to develop my team for next year. I'm looking to take advantage of this year and get the most I can because that's only being fair to the players who are going on a year-to-year basis, the veterans that are here. So I'm not trying to develop a younger team. Okay, well, we'll be good in 2 or 3 years. No, every year to me is an opportunity to make the playoffs and to establish a winning atmosphere within your culture, within your building.
What's the coolest thing in your office?
The coolest thing in my office was actually the very first signing bonus I got. I actually got the check. My signing bonus was I was a rookie. I was a free agent with the Cleveland Browns because I got cut the year before, and so I signed for $1,000 signing bonus, and I still have the check. When they took out the taxes, it was for $682. So every time people come in, they just talked about guaranteed money and what they had. So I used to walk over to my desk and just say, "Hey, listen, I got to show you this signing bonus of mine because this tells you that you're here because you love the game. Those things will take care of themselves. But this is what I played for because I was a backup player and so I love the game. So I kept that check there at times when just to put things in its proper perspective."
When's the last time you had a real itch to coach?
You know what, Dan? I know what it entails. I love talking to coaches even today and talking about things that I see from the outside. I know on the inside, it's not everything you see on the outside. There's a lot of other things that take place. But, clock management. I see that at times, being able to play to your strengths and not to try to develop something that you're not. Understand who your identity is as a football team. And I kind of like what I see. I mean, I love the fact that we've gotten this passing league, but this past year we had 8 new head coaches. 5 of them were defensive coordinators. So now all of a sudden the defense is becoming a little bit of that. Why? Because all of a sudden you saw the Kansas City Chiefs reach the basement of where they were a year ago on Christmas Day. Frustration on the sidelines. What got them back into the playoff hunt was all of a sudden this guy named Isaiah Pacheco gave a degree of toughness on offense, a defense that became stifling. And they went into the playoffs as underdogs and kind of used that chip on their shoulder. No one believes in us. They don't respect us. So, it still goes a long way having balance on your team. Even as great as Patrick Mahomes is, it was the running game with Isaiah Pacheco. It was a defense that led also to that championship. Special player, no question. And then you see 5 of the 8 defensive coordinators, and the 6th one was Jim Harbaugh. We know what Jim Harbaugh is going to do. He's going to run the football. He brings in Greg Roman from Baltimore, a couple of backs from Baltimore, and take Justin Herbert and say, okay, I know you're a great quarterback, but we're going to give you a balanced running attack as well. So the NFL is cyclical. I really believe that. We go through periods and trends of wanting to throw the ball and be this really open team. But really to have sustained success, it goes back to the same thing. Yes, a great quarterback you're always looking for that. But you better have a balanced football team that can throw it, that can run it, that can play defense, and have a good kicking game.
You avoided the question there, Coach. When's the last time you had a true itch to come back or somebody reached out to you to coach?
Oh, it's been years. I mean, it's been a few years. I mean, I just don't have the itch to make that kind of demand, the time demand. Because I know what it is. I mean, I love coaching on Sundays, but I also love the off season, Dan. I mean, I love when the season's over to be able to travel. I don't get involved with free agency. I watch the draft. I don't study the draft. I see the OTAs, but I see training camp, and I get that, okay, this is awesome. I get to talk to the coaches on Monday. But I've said this before. I'm going to my 18th year at CBS. I said, I coach every team every Sunday, and I haven't lost a game in 18 years. So I feel really good the rest of the week. So I have not got that itch in a few years.
Well, sometimes you need to have your wife remind you, that yes. It's like, no. Remember, we're not doing this. I know. No. Bill, we're not doing this, right?
Well, my wife, V, who's a musician, she was never I met her after I got out of it. And she's always been saying, if you want to do it, you can do it. And I would say, but I would not be spending the same time that we're having this conversation. I would not be with you right now. So these are always great places on the beach, in the city, in a restaurant. We wouldn't be here right now having this conversation if I did
true.
that. So I would be in that building trying to change a culture, committed to making sure that we win and trying to build a championship team. So I said, and that's the commitment that coaches have to make. That's the commitment that wives have to make, which is very, very much a sacrificial situation, a position that you have. You're the mother, the father, you run the household, you're trying to keep things stable, keep people from the media overreacting to every loss, overreacting to wins. So it's a lifestyle. You're living in a bubble, and I loved it for the period of time I did it, but no interest in going back.
But when you're taking out the garbage, does it kind of hit you like, I'm taking out the garbage? Like I should be prepping for, opening week.
I know, and I am right now. I'm talking to you. We got 2 weeks to get to talk about all these teams, and I think everything it's doing. So I have the platform, which is why I really do love what I do on Sundays, to be able to talk about it from a strategical standpoint, from just a tactical standpoint, from just an organizational, cultural standpoint of trying to build something that's sustainable over a long period of time. And again, I have contacts throughout the league with people and talk with them about what I see. And again, I know there's a lot more behind the closed doors than with what you see from the outside looking in, but I just love talking about it. I love the game.
I'll bet you take out the garbage intensely.
Oh, I do like doing dishes too, like at night. So I don't mind cleaning up at night. I do take the garbage. I make sure if it gets done, I walk it down and take it out to the recyclable tray and the garbage can. So we got the two different elements to it. So I don't mind doing the little things around the house. I really don't.
Great to talk to you. Have fun this upcoming season, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Dan.
That's
Anytime.
Bill Cowher, Hall of Famer, NFL Today on CBS Studio Analyst. All right, we'll take a break. Got our play of the day, phone calls as well, best and worst of the weekend, what you saw that you liked, you didn't like. We're back after this.